So this week's deep dive is going to be talking about Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. And you're probably wondering, what is Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark? Well, it's a musical based on the character Spider-Man.
Short answer, fucking dumpster fire, dude.
Yeah.
Long answer,
They should have turned off the dark a long time ago. So yeah, it was a Spider-Man musical with music and lyrics written by fucking Bono. Yes, that Bono and The Edge. Seriously, who fucking calls himself The Edge? That's one thing that pissed me off the most about.
You know what the worst part is? You know what the worst part is? They're all like super religious except for the bass player. The bass player is like a hard drinking, hard partying fucking atheist. And when they did the behind the music, go look up somewhere the behind the music on YouTube. It is hilarious because they almost kick him out of the band because he wouldn't stop drinking. Because they're Bono and The Edge are super fucking like Christian, dude. It's ridiculous.
Oh, let me tell you, most annoying people.
Wouldn't surprise me if they voted for Trump. Know what I'm saying? That religious.
All right, so yeah, fuck Bono. Even before this show starts, I don't like him.
Yeah,
he is the biggest turd though, according to South Park.
Let me think. Like, look, you know, like I don't have a problem with like being religious and going to church and all that stuff. It's just when you start to act like your life is revolved around that. I've been there. I've lived that life, and all you're doing is feeling holier than thou than everybody else. And honestly, it's really fucking irritating, and nobody wants to hang out with you.
Yeah.
Continue.
So, Turn Off the Dark had a book by Julie Taymor, Glenn Berger, and Roberto Aguirre Sacasa. The story incorporates elements of the 2002 Spider-Man film and the Greek myth Arachne.
Why? Why?
So, funny story. I was listening to...
The plot is actually kind of interesting, but it's like...
Yeah, did you read... I didn't print them off because I didn't want to actually go through the whole thing because it would take a while. But the first act very much follows the 2002 movie for a bit, and then the Arachne stuff happens. Glenn Berger said it was his idea and Julie's idea to have Arachne. And the reason they wanted to do that is they wanted to incorporate a female character that was not a strong female lead that wasn't Mary Jane, but could also play into the narrative. Which I was thinking they should have just done Madam Web if they were going to do that. But
hello,
they also liked the parallels that have existed throughout all of mythology and storytelling of the morphing of man with animal. So they liked the story of Arachne being a humanoid spider, and how that, or a mostly spider but with a human torso kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, man.
Half woman, half spider versus Spider-Man just being Spider-Man. It tells Spider-Man's origin story, his romance with Mary Jane, and his battles with the Green Goblin. Did I forget to tell you that the Green Goblin makes the fucking... he makes the Sinister Six by himself? Like, he just makes Carnage and Lizard and...
he makes them?
With, like, the formula he uses to make the Goblin, he makes, like, mutants, and it's, like, it doesn't make sense. Anyway, we're really not going to talk about the story of this. It's more of the behind-the-scenes shit.
Yeah.
So... it was included highly technical stunts such as aerial combat scenes and actors swinging from webs. And that is going to lead to a lot of injuries in this story. And this is why you never really see superhero properties go on Broadway.
Yeah.
Because of
it's
just
impossible.
just how technically demanding it is to do it easy to do on screen, not easy to do on stage. And I honestly think that's the only reason, because I think companies are always going to want to make money, and I think there is an overlap between comic book fans and theater fans that would go see a good, well-produced Spider-Man musical. I'd watch a Spider-Man musical if it's good. Why not?
I honestly think the Broadway musical is a dead art, and I really don't see any point in continuing any of it. So
Hamilton would like to have a word with you.
That's fine. I didn't really care.
I disagree. I think there will always be a need for musical theater.
That's fine, but don't expect me to buy any tickets.
Well, that's fine. It's not for you.
That's fine. Then I'm not going to see it.
Then don't go.
I won't.
All right.
Great.
A disastrous production plagued the musical, from multiple injuries to numerous delays to even the death of a producer.
At the hands of Spider-Man, interestingly enough.
Yeah. Readings for the musical were held at the beginning of 2007, but the production was delayed several times. By early 2009, the Broadway production ran $25 million into debt, which is easily the most expensive. This ended up grand totaling $75 million, which is by far the most expensive fucking Broadway production.
Absolutely.
Because most Broadway productions,
maybe 10.
and make no mistake, this is written for the stage, but most things that are written for stage don't have this much demanding technical stunts and wire work. You're going to have like Wicked, you're going to have the witch flying and shit, but you're not going to see a lot of that. A lot of it is going to be and it's usually going to be singing back and forth.
Did you ever, guys who were working on Turn Off the Dark and wrote the whole story, did you ever notice when you went to see Broadway musicals, I've never seen them, but did you ever notice that when they were doing wire work, it was one person at a time? You fucking morons!
Hey, but when it's executed, it does look cool.
Yeah, but it was
Problem
one
is nobody
person
could.
at a time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, but I mean I've seen clips of the final fight between Spider-Man and Green Goblin, and in and of itself, it looks cool, but it's just I don't. There's no way you could take that on the road, and that's what.
Right? Yeah.
And Glenn Berger mentions that in the interview I listened to. He said that was the problem because a lot of these shows, and I learned a lot about Broadway production by reading into this. A lot of these shows, because they're not as demanding with a set and they can be easily transported, they go to places like fucking Utah or Arizona.
Hancher Auditorium in Iowa City, Iowa.
Exactly. They go to smaller venues or smaller cities. Chicago.
Stoner Theater here in Des Moines.
Not there. Like Chicago, other places.
What are you going to
San Diego even. The point is they take them there so they can work out the kinks. So they go, and because when you're on Broadway, you want that to be the final product. That's the final draft. That's it. This is what it is. And most productions could go other states, do the show, work out some kinks, figure out what works with an audience and what can be tweaked. All the things that.
Well, that person's got a foot fetish, and that person's got kinks. Oh,
think of it as like stand up. They're going across the country before they can play Madison Square Garden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I killed your joke. I was trying to finish.
What joke?
You looked at me disappointed about your joke about kinks.
Oh, how many jokes do I make in an episode that are just fall flat? I'm not hilarious all the time.
Oh my God, here we go. Fucking Eeyore from Winnie the
Oh my God, no.
Winnie the Pooh just walked into the studio.
I'm being honest, you fucking douche.
Anyway.
A lot of my jokes
so
take a long time to get there.
So because of that, that immediately hurt the production because now they're like, oh shit.
Just like you hurt my feelings?
Exactly. Exactly. That's it. What you're feeling right now is what they felt because they knew that they had to get it right, and usually you don't do that. So in late 2009, Bono asked Michael Cole to step in as producer, and because it's interesting. At this point,
because Bono's who you want to look for is like, who's a good Broadway producer? Bono, do you know any good producers?
I didn't write this down, but there was some hope for this production to make more money because this is around the time when Disney purchases Marvel. But Disney has their own theater production company and just said, we don't really give a shit about this. We're not going to fund this. Mm-hmm. So that's why Michael Cole gets brought in. And by May 2010, Cole has raised the money to proceed with the project, and much as it was from Jeremiah J. Harris, former chairman of Live Nation, who is also listed as a producer. Meanwhile, the musical was eventually scheduled to open at the Foxwood Theater on February 18th, 2010, but the production was delayed again until fundraising could be completed. So at this point, you have to look at this production and think, where does it go wrong? And, the writer was asked that too in the podcast. And he said, honestly, when it was happening, they didn't think something was going to be bad until he felt it when they started performing. But me personally, if I'm a part of this project, I would think it's doomed when Disney says they want nothing to do with us. And then we have to get this dude from Live Nation to get some more money, right? So we had to get more investors. And then we have to get even more investors to do this fucking show. And it's at one point it gets to I think the production cost was like $1.9 million
a week.
A week.
Well, that's coming up.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that in a second. So by November 2010, the production was estimated to cost $65 million. In addition, the show's unusually high running costs were reported to be about $1 million per week.
Jesus Christ.
A new opening night of December 21st, 2010 was scheduled, but was delayed again until January 2011. See, now they really fucked up, because that December 21st date could have really worked for them because you have the Christmas crowd.
Right, but read why.
Oh, you want to know why? Oh, reportedly due to a, quote, tremendous amount of creative commotion behind the scenes.
What?
As more times for rehearsals were needed.
What does that mean? Like,
so I know about this.
So, okay, no, I'm saying, like, it's a ridiculous, like, fucking vaguely worded.
What a weird quote to have.
You know, like, okay, like, consider the amount of creative commotion behind the scenes with us. Really not a lot. Most of the creative commotion behind the scenes comes from me, like, trying to make my music sound better than it actually is going to sound. But it's to me, it's such a bureaucrat's fucking dumbass. Like, you can't describe humans like this, but they try. Creative commotion.
Well, here's what happened. When Cole got brought on, he was clashing with Julie Taymor.
Well, if you read the next paragraph, actually explains a lot about the creative commotion.
Yeah,
actually.
so that's really what caused
I really want to comment on that part,
because it's all horseshit. And she sued them, by the way.
Fuck you too.
I think she won, actually. But this is was delayed until 2011, January 2011, reportedly, to all that stuff. So in December 2010, the official opening was again pushed back to February 2011 to, quote, provide more time for the creators to stage a new final number, make further rewrites to the dialogue, and consider adding and cutting scenes and perhaps inserting new music.
Just, you know
Ms. Taymor and the producers have concluded that Act 2 has storytelling problems that need to be fixed, end quote. And a final postponement was made once again, pushing the opening to March 15th, 2011, in order to allow Taymor to fine-tune the production and instate a new ending.
So what's going on here is too many cooks, okay?
Absolutely.
Because Julie Taymor, I don't know what the original script was or why Mr. Cole or anybody else was like, hey, change it. It could have needed changing. I don't know. But I totally get... I hate that they had to, like, say, like, she was the one who had to fix shit. Like, instead of being like, the script was written and everything, and then this asshole came in and was like, I don't like it. And who knows? I don't know. Whatever.
Well, that's the problem is,
too many cooks, man.
Directors, they're the creative ones, but the producer's the one that buys the camera. That's what they always say.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of mentality, and it sucks because we know there's been multiple and that's always been the problem with making art, really, is because
You're telling me, brother.
Because when you want to do a creative endeavor and you want to create any sort of art, you don't want to have to think about financial issues or anything like that, because you're limiting the story you want to tell. And I understand that you have to have producers and it is a business and you have to have those make decisions, right?
Right.
But as a creator, like you're saying, because this is what it seems like from what we know is Cole. Yeah, you're right. Cole came in because I think Bono wanted and The Edge both were trying to get more money, and I think they were feeling a little bump to their ego that this show hadn't come out yet, and they're probably blaming it on Taymor because Taymor was very firm in like having Arachne being incorporated in the story,
but I love
having her own voice. You know what I mean?
I love how they described it like they're going to provide more time for the creators to stage a new final number.
Yeah.
No
need to panic. New music.
And consider adding and cutting scenes and perhaps inserting new. Why don't you just fucking start over?
Yeah, and this is also, and
the next paragraph is even worse. Like
this is what happens when you release things too, or when you announce things too early.
Right.
You have such that deadline, and then you keep having to delay it because you didn't realize how much money this was going to cost, and
also how stupid it was.
Yeah. Because for whatever reason, humans think that like things don't need to take time and money to be good. Like,
well.
So
have you seen my penis? I mean,
so Tyler, I got bad news.
Time or money.
I got bad news. The show got delayed again. The New York Times
Damn it!
that the show's opening would be delayed for the 6th time until September 2011. This latest delay included a shutdown of previews, and the shutdown lasted from April 19th to May 11th of 2011.
Also, I think part of the problem, sorry, before you finish the sentence, part of the problem was every time they delayed it, they did it for like a month.
Yeah.
Like, no, you need more than that.
In order for the new creative team to implement changes, preview performances resumed May 12th. In March, Cole and Harris said that they had shut down previews because they felt, quote, the story needed some work, the songs needed some work, and the sound needed some work.
So everything.
End quote. I know, right? Literally everything that goes into a musical.
But the quote that finishes it is classic, and that they quote, we're going to concentrate on those 3 areas over the next 3
no
and
shit.
A half.
What have you not been concentrating on those 3 things this whole production? It's a musical. Oh, jeez.
Like, that just made me laugh when I read that. I was like,
Yeah.
The story needs some work. The songs need some work.
You know what? All around, everything needs work.
What? You know what doesn't need any work? The venue we got? Great.
Love
It's
this place.
Great place.
Tip your waitress. Even though it's not even a bar, it's
Right.
Broadway.
Shit.
So they also announced that injured Spider-Man stunt performer Christopher Turney would be rejoining the show. By April 2011, we'll get to the injuries later. By April 2011, the capitalization was reported to have grown to $70 million. And as of the opening, it was reported as $75 million compared to the typical $5 to $15 million for a Broadway musical. See, that's what I'm saying. And you know why? Because not all their budget needs to go to wires and stunts. This is why we don't make superhero musicals. It's just ridiculous. It included $9.7 million for seats and costumes, $4.4 million to rent the Foxwoods Theater for 2 years before performances began, and
So fucking stupid.
$2.2 million for flying equipment, and the weekly production budget was $1.3 million.
Why the fuck would you? That's like saying, like, I'm going to rent a wedding venue now
for 2 years
and keep it rented until I find a wife. Man, you're going to be waiting a long time.
So now, this is going to get a little hard to... If you're squeamish about things, and it's not graphic or anything like that, I'm just saying, like...
But we don't want to make fun of people.
We don't want to make fun of these people because this is some scary shit.
Yeah, this is not...
So let's talk about the injuries. No, if anything we're going to make fun of is the shitty production and be like, how irresponsible they were. So 6 people were injured while working on Spider-Man. After 2 stunt doubles were injured during various flying sequences and rehearsals, safety inspectors from the New York State Department of Labor reviewed these scenes in the show.
They didn't even pass OSHA. Jesus fucking Christ.
And in February 2011, cited the show for 2 workplace safety violations. Just 2, which is impressive, honestly.
I guess.
No, for as many people that get fucking hurt in this production,
yeah, that's true, yeah.
The United States Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, fined the show $12,600 in March 2011 for 3 serious safety violations. The Actors Equity Association also looked into the incidents, and one of those injuries occurred when Spider-Man stunt double Kevin Aubin broke both his wrists. Another actor had broken his feet on the same move a month earlier.
Dude, you know how much that would suck to break both your wrists? Like, you couldn't
even jack off.
Hopefully you have a significant other who can at least help. For Christ's sakes, man. I mean, you can't do anything for like a couple of months, man. Yeah. You know how much cum you're going to have?
Jesus. And
you started it.
That was, okay. Also, the move that they're talking about.
By the way, the fine of $12,000
adds to the fucking budget.
No, just pocket change. At that point, they're like, "That's it."
Hey man, we're spending $1 million.
It was like the other day. When
$1 million per week here. I don't give a fuck.
It was like the other day when my tire was broken, and instead of paying like for an entirely new tire, they were like, "It was $14." And I'm like, "Oh, fucking sweet." Here you go with a smile on my face.
So yeah, I think the move they're talking about is this move where Spider-Man goes to like the lip of the stage. Now I could be wrong, but I think this is the one that Berger described in the interview. He does a backflip, but when he does a backflip, the platform is supposed to sink down, like it's supposed to be spring loaded, so it's supposed to go down for his landing.
Yeah.
The problem is it didn't work, and that's what caused injuries. I don't know if it happened to these 2 guys in particular, but I think that might be it. So that's just one example of how shithouse production this was. Natalie, by the way, this originally had fucking Alan Cummings, Evan Rachel Wood.
Yeah.
Like, they had some big names attached to this before all of them were like, let's get the fuck out of this situation. So Natalie Mendoza, who was originally cast as Arachne, suffered a concussion during the first preview performance on November. How did I say April? Oh, I was looking at Arachne. Dyslexia, November 28th, 2010, when she was struck in the head by equipment in the wings. She did not report the accident to producers until November 30th. Come on, Natalie. Well, I get it. She's working. She probably doesn't want to lose. I understand.
But read the second one, though. Against her doctor's advice, she appeared in the second
But
performance.
I understand it because I've done things where I've definitely been injured or hurt, and I should get I understand.
Okay,
I'm not trying to explain away her decision. I think it was, especially because the second performance was against a doctor's advice, as you said, and the role involves several flying sequences, including one in which she is spun upside down. As someone who just had a concussion, that is an extremely reckless decision. I'm not explaining away what she did. But
No. I'm just saying, like,
this is on her too, because she should have said something.
A little bit, yeah.
Especially if she was going to be hung upside down.
To be fair to her, absolutely, these producers had no business putting anybody in the air.
And she probably didn't make a lot of money, and this is the only thing she had. And she's an actress.
Don't got insurance. Yeah.
So Mendoza later fell ill, and America Olivio, her understudy, played the role during the nearly 2-week absence. Mendoza returned to the show for the December 15th evening performance, following the preview of December 20th, 2010, when Spider-Man stunt performer Christopher Tierney was injured and hospitalized. Mendoza suspended her performance. Olivia began filling her role again for her, and on December 30th, she announced her permanent withdrawal from the show.
Yeah, as soon as she saw the Christopher Tierney thing, which we'll get into, she was like,
that
"Fuck,
was
I'm
fucking
out."
horrifying."
Oh, dude.
Yeah. So TV Carpio replaced her, and Olivia was remaining as the understudy. And when Carpio was injured in March 2011 and withdrew from the show for 2 weeks, Olivia performed the role again. It's like, if people keep getting hurt, why are you still doing this? So
it's amazing Olivia never got hurt.
So in that,
because she performed it for most of the time.
Yeah. How did she survive?
Right.
Getting to
conspiracy. Whoa. She was behind it.
She did it. Wow. Maybe she was the whole reason it failed. So
FBI, our phone numbers. No, you.
Speaking of Mendoza coming back for that December 20th preview, Christopher Tierney. This is horrible. So in that December 20th preview, Tierney fell 21 feet off a piece of scenery when his harness was not connected to the safety cord, leaving him to free fall through the stage and into the orchestra pit. And I've heard his description of it. I was saying where he knew once he went off that scenery, he knew he didn't feel his harness, and he felt hopeless because he knew he was going to fall. And it's like, that's fucking horrifying. Because, I mean, 21 feet, if there's no orchestra pit, that's enough to probably severely injure him.
Okay, just to give folks, can you give the audience an idea of how far 21 feet is? Because it also says 6.4 meters, but we're Americans, and fuck your metrics. Fuck your metrics, man. But here... But just as an example, like the average story is about 8 feet. Okay, so when you think about it, that's
so almost three stories.
Fucking stories, dude. Which
is enough to kill someone.
Yeah, easy,
severely injured.
Easy. If you land wrong, oh yeah.
Yeah. Which also shows you how fragile we are. So yeah, crazy fucking falling into the pit. There's
free fall through the stage and into. Well,
there's also another stunt where Spider-Man's foot got caught in the harness, and he swung around with his foot stuck in the harness in one of the previews. It's kind of comical. Because he was, I don't think he got hurt from that. But anyway.
Yeah.
Tierney was hospitalized at Bellevue Hospital Center, and he was released for rehabilitation on December 28th. The December 20th performance ended prematurely, obviously, after rehearsals for stricter safety procedures involving the harness. The show resumed the evening performance on December 23rd. Tierney was released from New York University's Rusk Institute of Rehabilitation Medicine on January 5th, 2011. He returned to the show for rehearsals on April 25th, 2011, and performed in the show on opening night. That's impressive.
Carpio was injured during March 16th performance, reportedly hurting her neck, and left the show for 2 weeks. That was TV Carpio, who we talked about.
Yeah. So those are kind of the injuries, and there's some other things. And a lot of the times when it wasn't actually something that put them in danger and hurt them, it really killed their performance because the audience was laughing at it.
Right, exactly.
Because what else are you going to do but laugh at fucking Spider-Man with his foot hanging through a loop?
Right. But here's my favorite part, and this just crazy to me. The December 20th performance ended prematurely, obviously.
Yeah.
You got 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. They have rehearsals for stricter safety procedures before they reopen on December 23rd. I don't know about you, but if I'm on that production and I have anything to do with being hooked up to a safety harness
I'm not
after that
trusting
night,
any of those
I'm not
motherfuckers.
going back to work.
No.
Not even fucking close.
And again, you also have to put them
Let's try it
But
again.
you know how fucking hard it is to get on a show on Broadway.
True. I mean, I
mean, you don't know specifically, but you know the stories that you've heard.
I'm not calling out these actors and actresses.
No,
and
it's the
stunt
fucking
performers.
producers.
Yeah,
They
I'm
should
not-
know better.
I'm definitely not calling them out. It sounds like I am. But what I'm basically saying is like, I mean, how horrible that you finally, your dream comes true. And it's the most, that'd be like, I finally get my radio show, but like on the commercial breaks, I have to suck some dude off. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can have a radio show, but every time you're on break, you got to blow this dude. Like, well, fuck, I really want a radio
Man,
show.
if I were gay, this would be a great show.
I really want a radio show.
But that's not the case. Despite poor reviews and bad publicity, Spider-Man was at times successful at the box office, mostly because it's so bad people want to talk about it.
Right, people wanted to go, yeah.
Ticket sales the day after the first preview on November 28th, 2010 were more than $1 million.
I heard somebody almost died.
Yeah.
Let's go get it.
During the first week of 2011, the Spider-Man show had the highest grossing box office on Broadway with a total of $1,588,514.
To me, that is really a stupid record. I mean, every place has different seating numbers, and every place and every production does different numbers. Shut up.
Well, it did have a good life in terms of as how shitty the whole production leading up to the shows was, how many injuries, all the things that happened with it. It still had a little bit of success financially, and that little bit of success completely waned a lot because a lot of it originally was critics talking about how horrible it was. Mm-hmm. So you had that. It's like The Room, where you have that, and Waiting in the Wings did a great job of using that example in their YouTube video. That's where I got the idea. I don't want anybody to ever accuse me of stealing. I have to always cite my sources. Anyway, but it is that thing. There are definitely movies, and you've been guilty of it. Everybody's been like, "Oh, this is such a fucking crazy movie. I have to see how stupid this thing is." So after that went down, and tourists having bragging rights, being like, "I saw the fucking Spider-Man show. It's just as bad as everybody says. It's crazy." After that waned down, there was no market for it because when a show is actually good, like Wicked or something like that, when it's really successful on Broadway. It has a lot of staying power. This didn't. So it closed. It started in 2011, and then it closed production officially on January of 2014. So, yeah, by 2012, 2013, the popularity had really gone off, and a lot of the jokes. I mean, it also had a lot of popularity because of late night shows, and SNL constantly parodied it. Like SNL had I can't remember the name of the bit, but it was Fred Emerson, and he was doing fucking lawyer commercial for actors that got injured while doing the Spider-Man show. Like bits like that. Like that also added to the ticket sales, but eventually people were like, there's no need to worth seeing it. And it sucks on an aspect because I would say it would be cool that Spider-Man has a Broadway musical because Spider-Man is such a New York hero that it would only make sense that New York would have a Spider-Man musical.
Right.
And
it only makes sense, yeah. And
because I don't think it would play here.
No.
You could take a Spider-Man show on the road, but you have to see it in New York, I would feel like.